How to Stay Strong When Life Gets Tough introduction. In the style of Muniba Mazari, there are moments in life when silence screams louder than words. When even the brightest days feel wrapped in endless night. You look around and everything seems to be falling apart. Dreams shattered, hopes slipping through your fingers like sand. In those moments, you ask yourself, why me? You wonder if the pain will ever end, if the weight on your chest will ever lift. But what if I told you that even in the middle of your deepest sorrow, there is a light, not outside you, but within you? A light that no hardship can dim. You are not broken. You are being rebuilt. Every scar on your soul is proof that you fought and survived. That even when life tried to silence you, you chose to whisper, I'm not done yet. This isn't just about staying strong. It's about discovering the strength you never knew you had. The kind that grows in darkness, that rises with tears in its eyes and fire in its heart. So if you're tired, if you're hurting, if you feel like giving up, stay with me. This is for you. Your scars are not your weakness. They are your medals of survival. Pain is not the end. It's the beginning of transformation. Strength isn't about never falling. It's about rising every single time. Even in darkness, your soul carries its own light. You are not a victim of life. You are the author of your comeback. Your scars are not your weakness. They are your medals of survival. We are often taught to hide our wounds, to cover the parts of us that have endured pain, heartbreak, loss, or trauma. Society whispers that we should appear whole, flawless, untouched by hardship, as if strength is found in perfection. But the truth is, strength is born in the exact opposite place. It is not found in the absence of pain, but in the courage to face it, in the courage to survive it. And the proof of that survival, it's in your scars. A scar tells a story, not of defeat, but of triumph. It says, I was hurt, but I healed. It says, I fell, but I got back up. It speaks silently, but powerfully, reminding you and the world that something tried to break you, and it failed. The world may not see what you've endured. They may not hear the nights you cried yourself to sleep, or the mornings you had to drag yourself out of bed just to keep going. But your scars remember, and they don't lie. They are not shameful, they are sacred. You didn't ask for the pain, you didn't invite the storm. But still it came, as it does to all of us at some point in life. And when it did, you didn't run, you endured. You faced moments that could have crushed you, words that could have destroyed your spirit, situations that made you question your worth. But somehow, even if you crawled, even if you were broken into pieces, you made it through. And that makes you brave. There are people who may never understand your journey, who may judge you by what they see on the surface. But they don't know what it took to stand here today. They don't know the battles you fought in silence. Every scar on your heart, every wound that's closed but still aches sometimes. They're reminders that you were strong enough to heal, that you chose to heal, even when it hurt, even when it took everything inside you. Don't let the world convince you that strength means being untouched by pain. Real strength is surviving what was meant to destroy you and not letting it turn you bitter. Real strength is choosing to grow, to love, to trust again, even after you've been broken. And that kind of strength, it doesn't come without scars. They may not be visible to others, but you know they're there. And that's enough. You don't need to hide them. You don't need to apologize for them. Because they are the most honest part of you. They tell your story. Not the perfect one you wish you had, but the real one, the story of a fighter. Survivor. A soul who refused to give up, no matter how deep the pain ran. You wear your scars not as a sign of what hurt you, but as a sign of what healed. Pain is not the end. It's the beginning of transformation. There comes a point in life when everything you knew, everything you believed, suddenly feels like it's slipping away. It could be the loss of a loved one, a dream shattered into 1,000 pieces, or the betrayal that cuts deeper than a knife. And in that moment, pain feels like the full stop to your story. Like life has closed the book on you and left you in the dark, broken and alone. But what if that pain isn't your ending? What if it's your awakening? Pain has a way of stripping us down to our barest form. It pulls away the illusions, the masks, the comforts we've clung to for so long. It exposes our raw, unfiltered selves. And that vulnerability, though terrifying, is also sacred. Because in that space where everything hurts and nothing makes sense, a new version of you is waiting to be born. Not a weaker one, not a damaged one, but one that is wiser, more compassionate, more resilient. Transformation doesn't begin in comfort. It begins in discomfort. In the chaos, in the ache, in the moments when you think you can't go on. That's when your soul begins to shift. You start asking different questions. You begin to see life through a different lens. You stop living for the noise of the world and start listening to the whisper within. And that whisper is often only heard when everything else has fallen silent through pain. There is no strength without struggle. No courage without fear, no growth without grief. Pain is not a punishment, it is a signal. A signal that something needs to change, that something inside you is being called to rise, to evolve, to become more than it was before. And that process is never pretty. It's messy. It's lonely. But it is also powerful beyond measure. Think about the most beautiful things in nature. The diamond forged under pressure, the butterfly breaking free from the cocoon, the lotus rising from the mud. None of these things were born in ease. They were born through tension, through resistance, through hardship. And so are we. Your pain is not a detour. It's the path. It's what chisels you into someone deeper, more grounded, more human. You don't have to pretend it doesn't hurt. You don't have to smile through it or rush through the process. Let yourself feel it. Let the tears come. Let your heart crack open. Because in that cracking, the light gets in. And once it's in, it begins to illuminate parts of you that were always there, but you never had to discover until now. Parts of you that are bold, unbreakable, unstoppable. People will tell you to stay strong, but strength isn't just about holding it together. Sometimes true strength is in falling apart and still choosing to rebuild. Not in spite of the pain, but through it. Because when everything is stripped away, what's left is your truth. And truth is the seed of transformation. You may not see it now, but this pain, the one you're carrying in your chest, the one that keeps you awake at night, it is shaping you, sculpting you, preparing you. Not for a return to who you were, but for the emergence of who you are meant to become. Strength isn't about never falling. It's about rising every single time. There's a false idea we often carry, that strong people never break, never stumble, never cry. That they move through life untouched by pain or failure, always standing tall with perfect composure. But that is not strength. That is a mask. True strength is messy. It's raw. It's found in the person who has fallen to their knees, shattered by life, and still decides to rise again. Falling is not a weakness. It's part of being human. Every one of us has moments when the weight becomes too much, when we bend under pressure, when we make mistakes, or feel like we've lost our way. Life doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for courage. And courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you don't let fear keep you on the ground. There are times when you'll feel like giving up, when the pain of trying again seems greater than the comfort of staying down. But if you can find the smallest reason, the tiniest spark, to rise even one more time, that is where your power lives. Not in how many times you've failed, but in how many times you've refused to stay down. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet aren't the loudest or the most confident. They're the ones who've silently fought battles no one knew about, who've rebuilt their lives from scratch, who've sat in the silence of their own heartbreak and still whisper to themselves, "I will try again tomorrow." Their strength was not born from having it all together. It was born from rising every time they fell apart. Think of a child learning to walk. They fall again and again, but never once do they think, maybe walking isn't for me. They don't give up. They keep trying, keep rising until their legs hold steady. And somewhere along the way, we forget that it's okay to fall. We start believing we should already know how to stand tall, even when the ground beneath us is shaking. But strength is not in pretending. It's in perseverance. In trying one more time after every failure, after every disappointment. It's in daring to believe that something better still waits on the other side of the pain. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to move quickly or gracefully. You just need to move, to rise. Slowly, awkwardly, imperfectly, but with determination in your soul. Because every rise, no matter how small, is a victory. There will be days when rising looks like getting out of bed, when it looks like taking a deep breath, when it looks like choosing not to give up, even when nothing makes sense. And those moments, the quiet, invisible ones, are often the most powerful proof of your strength. Don't measure your worth by how long you've stood without falling. Measure it by how many times you've chosen to rise, even when it hurt, even when no one clapped, even when no one saw. That's the strength no one can take from you when in darkness your soul carries its own light. There are times when life wraps itself in silence, in shadows, in long nights that seem to stretch endlessly. You look around and everything feels unfamiliar. The laughter fades, the colors dim, and it feels as though the world has turned its back on you. You reach out hoping for someone to understand, someone to hold your hand through the storm, but often those cries echo back in silence. And in that silence, the darkness feels overwhelming. It begins to whisper lies, that you're alone, that you're forgotten, that there's no way forward. But those are only whispers, not truths. Because even in that pitch-black moment, there's something within you that never goes out. A flicker, a spark. It may not roar like a flame, but it's there. Quiet, persistent, unseen by others perhaps, but deeply, stubbornly alive. That light inside you is not dependent on your circumstances. It doesn't vanish because people walk away. It doesn't fade because life has become hard. It exists because you exist and it is yours no matter what. The world might dim your surroundings, but it cannot dim your soul. That's the part of you that knows how to breathe in grief and still choose to keep going. It's the part that whispers a hold on when everything else says a let go. That light is your courage, your resilience, your quiet defiance against despair. It may flicker in moments of fear, it may shrink in the face of heartbreak, but it never dies. We are often told to look for light outside ourselves, in people, in places, in dreams we hope will come true. And while all of those things matter, none of them compare to the light that burns within you, because that is the only light that doesn't leave when life gets dark. That is the light you can rely on when everything else is gone. You don't have to be glowing all the time to be strong. Some days, your light might feel like just a tiny ember, faint, almost invisible. But even that ember can guide you forward. Even that ember can keep you warm in the coldest moments. And sometimes all you need is to protect it, to shelter it from the wind of doubt, to cradle it in your hands and trust that one day it will grow again. There is something extraordinary about those who walk through the dark and still carry hope. Not blind hope, not naive optimism, but the kind of hope that is born from knowing that no night lasts forever. The kind of hope that comes from having seen your own light, even if only in glimpses, and realizing that it's enough to carry you through. When the world feels heavy, when your heart feels bruised, and you can't seem to find your way, remember this. You do not need to wait for someone to rescue you. You do not need to search for a distant light to save you. The light is already within you. It always has been. It always will be. You are not a victim of life. You are the author of your comeback. There are moments when life hits so hard, so unexpectedly, that it leaves you breathless. You'll look at the pieces scattered around you and wonder how everything fell apart so quickly. It could be the end of a relationship, the loss of a dream, the weight of failure, or the betrayal you never saw coming. And in those moments, it's easy to feel like life is something happening to you. Like you're just a character in a story you didn't write, one filled with pain you didn't ask for. But what if you are not just a character? What if you are the author? What if, despite everything, the pen has always been in your hands? Being a victim is not about what happened to you. It's about believing that you no longer have a choice. You are trapped by your past, defined by your circumstances, or controlled by the pain inflicted on you. And yes, life can be cruel. People can be unfair. Things can go terribly wrong. But the power you hold lies in how you respond. In whether you let the pain define you or refine you. There is power in choice, power in deciding that your story doesn't end with the chapter you're in. You can pause, you can break, you can cry. But you can also pick up that pen and write a new sentence, a new paragraph, a new direction. You are not bound by what went wrong. You are shaped by how you choose to rise from it. Comebacks are not born in comfort. They're written in the silence of lonely nights, in the ache of starting over, in the decision to hope again when everything seems lost. And the most powerful comebacks, they don't need applause. They happen quietly. In your heart, in your mind, in the decision to keep going when no one is watching, when no one understands the storm you're walking through. The truth is, no one can write this story for you. People may support you, encourage you, even walk beside you for a while. But only you can take the broken chapters and turn them into something beautiful. Only you can decide whether the pain becomes a period or a comma, whether this is the end or the turning point. Doesn't matter how far you've fallen, how much time you feel you've lost, or how many mistakes you've made. What matters is the moment you stop looking back and start looking within. The moment you say, "This is not where my story ends," that is the moment the comeback begins. Not when everything is perfect, not when you feel completely ready, but when you choose to take one small step forward, even if it's with trembling hands. Life will always test you, but it is also offering you something, a chance to rediscover yourself, to rewrite your narrative, to become the version of you that you were always meant to be. The version that isn't defined by wounds but by wisdom. Not by fear but by fire. Not by what broke you but by what built you.